What's going on, everybody? My name's Chandler Lyles, and this is The Highlight. It's a serious business podcast, obviously, for serious business people, and I'm joined by my serious business partner today, Austin Lynch. Austin, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Feeling serious as always.
Yeah, I think we're going to go right into being serious today. I'm going to tell you about the serious conversation I had with my daughter. She's 5 years old, Charlotte, and we pour her a bowl of cereal. Now, I'll preface this story with it's not Cinnamon Toast Crunch. It's the Trader Joe's knockoff version, but Trader Joe's isn't knockoff, so it's kind of a weird area. It's not like the generic cereal because
I'm not
it's Trader
surprised.
Joe's. I don't know. Anyways, she gets this cereal, and she takes like 2 bites of it, and then she had some yogurt and eats that, and then, she plays with the cereal for 20 minutes like 5-year-olds do. Like, a kid's ability to like waste time with food is just genuinely impressive.
Pretty amazing.
So she looks at me and she goes, "Daddy, I'm done eating. I'm full." And I was like, "Okay, honey, that's fine." And then she brings her bowl over to the sink where I'm doing some dishes, and the cereal bowl is still full. It's been 20 minutes and now it's just a soggy mess. And I'm like,
Sure.
"Charlotte, what's wrong? You didn't like the cereal?" Because it's Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And honestly, I tasted them, and in a blind taste test, don't think I could tell you the difference in this and the real thing.
Yeah.
But she comes to me and she says, "I can't eat this cereal because it tastes funny on one side of my mouth." And I'm like, what the hell? What does that mean? It tastes funny on one side of your mouth and not the other side. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing? What do you mean? And then I was trying to explain this story to you before we got on, and then you just like jumped all over my case that like, oh, that's a thing. Like, you don't know about that? Like, what?
Well, it's a thing for me, and I'm sure we all have our differing reasons, but for me, things do taste better on my left side than on my right side. And I'll tell you why. I had to go to the dentist not too long ago, and I needed to get a crown put on. Okay? And I don't remember the name of my dentist. Let's say his name is David Johnson. That's a football player, but we're going to go with David Johnson. And literally, I schedule my appointment. David Johnson runs the whole practice. So I schedule my crown appointment, and they're saying, "Okay, your appointment's with David Johnson." I'm like, "Great." Well, I come in, and here's the kicker. It is with David Johnson, but it's with David Johnson Jr., who just graduated from dental school. They didn't tell me that. All they said was David Johnson, and they put the crown on, and ever since, I feel like when I drink or eat cold stuff, cereal included, I feel like I get a little bit of like a zap in that tooth, and I'm sure it's not good. Can't be good. But David Johnson Jr., he did me dirty. I don't know. And so now I agree. I'm with Charlotte on this. Left side of the mouth is better for cereal than the right side. Simple as that.
I think I'm just surrounded at this point. Like, I don't get away from it at home. I come here and I got to deal with it with you now. It's like, this just never ends for me. It just is. It's a constant struggle.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah.
You guys tell us, does cereal taste weird on one side of the mouth and good on the other side? It's the water thing last week's episode. It's cereal this week. I swear. It's just something.
Yeah.
There's always something here. So anyways.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we can talk about the serious thing today, and that's delegation. And it's something you and I have been struggling with and working through and practicing over the last 90 days, really heavily in the last 2 weeks. And for some context for everybody, so when we started this, that was back in September of 21. It was just you and I. And you and I were great business partners in the beginning, and not that we're not still really good business partners, but we had a real clear division of labor in those first 6 months. You handled all the paid media stuff, which is a massive, massive part of it. High Beam Marketing has a a marketing flywheel that we sell to all of our clients, and monetization is one of the pieces. And that was Austin's whole job, was all the monetization pieces, how we run ads. And that's a big piece. And then mine was basically the micro content stuff and the pillar content stuff and the strategy stuff for clients. And that's like a very clear separation of church and state.
Yeah.
Well, luckily over the last 6 months, we've done a good job, and, we've grown the business, and we're on the, we're still hustling, and, we're up to what, 12 clients, 13 clients now or something like that. And, it just is a little too busy for us to get things done. And so now we've started bringing people in. And, this is the first time you've delegated, I think, in your career? Like, what has that been like for you?
Yeah, outside of full-time jobs, this is the first time I've delegated my own personal work to other people whom I'm paying, and it's been something that, if one thing's keeping me up at night, it's probably that. And it's because, I have a hard time letting go of things that I want to be perfectly done my way. And the reality that I've, come to understand and come to kind of realize and trust in is that even if someone gets the job done 90% my way, 10% their way, probably even 70-30, the job will still get done. The client will still be happy. The work will still be progressing in the right direction. And that's really what matters. And I don't have to have my stamp on every last piece, which is something that I've struggled with and something that I'm learning. I've been trying to talk to people who do this. I've been trying to read things from people that do this. In Shoe Dog, which is the story of Nike's founding, it's written by Phil Knight. Phenomenal book, maybe my favorite business book. He talks about putting people into a lane and letting them run and letting them surprise you with their result, and how that's worked out more times than not. Now, in the book, he does give examples of when it does work versus when it doesn't work. And, I think he said something along the lines of 90% of the time, he's been pleasantly surprised. And the times where he was wrong, he found that he could simply shift that person into a different role and basically solve that problem entirely. So, really fascinating. The story is actually really funny too. The guy he got wrong, he was launching the Nike fashion, kind of the apparel section, so shorts, shirts, basically anything but shoes. And the guy he hired was a CPA, and he quickly realized that he had the worst fashion of anyone in the office, like terrible. And people at one point started dressing crazy, and Phil felt the need to like corral everybody, and he actually put a dress code in. And some of his higher ups were coming in, like the dress code was like, you got to be in a suit. They were coming in like crazy colors and blah, blah, blah. And he sent them home. Well, he sent this one guy home too, because he was like, why is this new guy that I just hired, in mutiny alongside my partners? Well, turns out he wasn't. He was literally just that poorly dressed normally. And so he got sent home and shunned, even though he wasn't even doing that intentionally. He was actually in dress code, but just the colors and things were so terrible. He was like, go, get out. And so that's the one that Phil Knight got wrong. He put the wrong guy in the wrong position to start the apparel line, and quickly fixed that, shifted him into a place where it worked, and boom. So I'm kind of trying to lean on other people who have told their stories, and just trust that it's the right thing to do. And so far, so good. We're still early on in some of that, but yeah, it's kind of the only way that we transition from being kind of doers to being business owners, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're just operating a book of business and not really growing a business.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a good point. It's basically like the difference in you owning your job and owning a business is your ability to delegate, really, because at some point there's only 24 hours in a day. You can only do so much work. You just can only do so much on your own.
Yep.
We're still so early with delegating within high beam marketing that luckily we don't have a story yet where we delegated wrong, but I'm sure
Right.
it's coming at some point. So to our 3 team members that we have, this is for you. Don't be the first one that ends up being a story on a podcast someday.
Yep.
But I will say that like my issues with delegation in the past have always come down to fear. I basically am afraid to let go of responsibility and trust someone else to carry that forward. I remember the barbecue stuff way back in the day. Like we were in a gas station, and even before that, when my mom and dad and I first started, I didn't trust them to talk to any customers because I knew everything about them. And I was like, I don't need you guys to say the wrong thing or do something dumb. And not that they even do anything bad or wrong. It's just that I was just paranoid. Honestly, at the end of the day, I was just paranoid over nothing. And so for 6 months straight in the tent, I talked to every single customer that came up. I mean, it had to be 95%. Like I took almost all the credit card transactions because I just didn't want other people to talk to the customers. And then I sort of wised up and was like, I can't actually do this. This is insane. Somebody else has to help me carry the brand forward. So that was like one little lesson of like letting go of a little bit of fear and moving on. And then the first time I delegated poorly, that I really remember, there may have been a time before this, but the one that I really remember was there was this girl that we hired to be a cashier. And this was the gas station, which was, granted, not a great location for a restaurant. Like this was not a Ritz-Carlton style location. This was next to a liquor store, next to a service station, next to a hourly hotel in the middle of nowhere. So, you kind of get what you get, but we still had to have some sort of standard. So we hired this girl and she was a cashier. We delegated to her, and we had a rule at the company, like you just needed to make people's days better. That was our big thing. Like when people come in, just make sure they leave in a better place than when you found them. And we didn't get it right all the time, but we really tried. Right. And this girl, she like freaks out one day on a customer, just freaks out on him and like loses her mind, starts like yelling at him because there was maybe an order wrong or something. Like, I don't even remember. Like, it just is something that happened. And, I took her in the back, and it was very early in my leadership days and my business owning days. And I didn't really know what to do. Like my instinct was like, I got to fire this girl right now. And my higher level brain was thinking through it, going like, no, like you should coach her, you should teach her. Everybody deserves a second chance, da da da. And so I listened to the higher level brain, which story's going to end with I shouldn't have done that. I take her into the back and I'm like, hey, let's call her Jessica. I don't want to say her real name, but like let's call her Jessica. I said, hey Jessica, like you had this incident that happened. Like, tell me what happened on your side of the story. And she tells me, and I'm like, all right, look, I understand. Maybe some of that's true, maybe not. But like at the end of the day, we have to make people's days better. So like you yelling at them in the front of the house is not going to work. And then she starts in on me. And I was like, oh, this is just how you're wired. This is just your personality at this point of your life. And there's nothing I can do to coach you. And so we ended up letting her go that day. And what I realized was that we have to have a black and white policy when it comes to certain things. I think that's why core values are so important. I think it's why policies and procedures are important. But for me, what I ended up developing was basically like a sort of road analogy, right? Where like the North Star was the direction we were heading was make everybody's days better. And then you have 2 guardrails that basically, if you go over these guardrails, you're not coming back. And it was don't bankrupt the brand, don't bankrupt the company. And if you do one of those activities, or if you do something that will cause us to do one of those activities, then I cannot save you. There's no coming back. Everything else is coachable though, right? Like, one of the guys we delegated to, our editor, he cuts a video for us with, our vertical videos that go on social media, right? And, I didn't give him a ton of direction on what I wanted it to look like. Like you said earlier, like I wanted to be pleasantly surprised. And I was. I mean, I don't know how you felt about it, but I thought the reels looked great. The videos looked good. They're great clips. Everything about it was great. The captions
doing great, Brandon.
Are crushing it. Feel free to edit that out if you don't want your name involved.
Doing great. Beep.
So I get the video back and the captions are on the bottom, and I didn't think anything about it because on my phone when I was just viewing it, they looked great. And I go to
Yeah.
upload it into TikTok, and I realize that the captions are buried under all the copy for the post on the
Oh,
bottom, so you can't even
yeah.
see it. And for those of you that don't know, if your videos aren't captioned on the internet, they're basically you're leaving like 70% of the potential views on the table. Like captions, no sound is a major consumption source for so many people. Um, so it's a really big deal. And so instead of just not posting the videos or whatever, we still put them up and they still got a little bit of traction. And we kind of did some things to try to caption them after the fact. But I didn't send them back to him and say, hey, you got to recaption these right now, da da da. Even though he probably would have done it, it's not a good use of his time right now. And it's more of a, like, I just sent him a quick message and said, hey, just so you know, like,
Yeah.
I didn't see this either, but move the captions up to the middle of the screen so it doesn't get cut off. And, you know, little failure. And then we fixed it and moved forward. And now they're going to come out even better than before.
Yeah.
But I think if I was a new leader again, I might have reacted poorly to this situation or just been like, see, this is the exact reason why I can't be delegating this stuff to anybody else. They can't do it the same way I can.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
is it like there's like a fear of like dealing with the first 30 days of like having to train somebody how to do it? Is that why we don't delegate?
Maybe. And, I think it's kind of a mixture of, like you were saying, wanting it to be done the exact way that's in your head, wanting to be sure that you can even get that across to them, making sure that you actually can even communicate it correctly. And the third piece is probably, a little bit of fear of time spent or time lost doing something else, which um, is reasonable. But at the same time, if you're worried about, the time you put into training someone, and you're worried about losing time doing the tactical work that this other person would eventually pick up, um, then I think you just have to get past that, and you have to just say,
Yeah.
"This is something I'm dedicating." You kind of just have to almost make a declaration that's like, "This is something I care about doing. This is something that's going to help the business go forward. This is something that's going to allow me to go do more higher level work, whatever that looks like." You need to basically convince yourself of that first, um, and then be able to move forward. And I think, really, I feel like I'm just getting over that hump of convincing myself and actually being ready to move forward myself. So, even if you're already doing it and you're still convincing yourself, like, that's probably even a better sign, that you're ready to actually move forward. And it also means that you're cautious, and cautiousness isn't bad as long as it doesn't,
No.
as long as it doesn't keep you from pushing forward and taking action on things. That's good. So yeah,
That's a good
it's
question.
a
The
it's a tough
caution thing is
balance.
interesting to me. Like, where do you end up with on the side of hiring fast and firing faster, or is it hire slow, fire slow, or
Hmm.
which one of those do you personally land on? It's actually kind of interesting to me as your business partner. I don't think we've ever talked about this.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't love the sentiment behind hire fast, fire faster. I feel like that's just almost like a scare tactic that isn't really necessary. Um, I would say, I don't even know if I would say hire fast. I think it also really depends on where you're at in your business. Like, we're probably at a point where we shouldn't be rushing to hire. I think, it's important to find the right people for the right job, make sure they're fit, make sure that they have a clear vision forward. Um, and in terms of firing, I think it's just like you said, I've always loved your two big rules. Don't bankrupt the business, don't bankrupt the brand. I think that's great, especially for higher level people that are, going to actually be making decisions that could lead to either of those things. Um, and yeah, like you said, everything else is coachable. So I don't know. I don't love things that are just inherently threatening for no reason.
Yeah.
Um, fire faster. Don't love it. I think, like, be cautious, hire the right people. at the right time, you know, that might be like throwing a dart at a dartboard, but try to get it as
Yeah.
close to the middle as possible,
Yeah.
obviously. And then when it comes to firing, just I honestly, you've got a lot more experience there than I do, but I tend to lean them from a place of grace if you can, you know, try and coach people, because I think that people who have dealt with hardship, people who have dealt with issues and overcome them, I think they're better, stronger people than those who have
Mhm.
kind of had a weak, kind of easy path. So I don't know. I think there's a lot that goes into it, but if I haven't made it clear yet, don't really love hire fast, fire faster. I don't love either of those two things. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. What do you think?
I think with everything, it's nuanced, right? But I've definitely heard it on the internet from
Yeah.
these business gurus say, you got to hire fast, you got to fire fast, you got to move fast, you got to, and I don't,
Yep.
I just
I
think that's a
think
good
that was
sound
said to
clip.
me in an interview. Like, I remember
Really?
that exact term. Yeah. And like, I was in
Oh my
college,
gosh.
and this was a
Mm.
startup company. I won't say too much about them, but they actually got acquired. So, they did something right. They're a startup 3D printing tech company that honestly I learned a ton about, learned a ton from. But they said that in the interview. They said, we hire fast, we fire faster, because that's how we have to be, to grow and to keep being ingenuitive
Mhm.
and yada yada. And maybe it made sense for them. I also didn't see them actually do either of those things, but I remember hearing it and thinking, hmm. And
It's
I
weird.
even right then I was like, that doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But hey, uh, it was just, yeah, I've heard it before. I've heard it used literally in an interview. Like, I would never say that in an interview.
Yeah. I don't think it's the right sentiment. I think, like you said, for some companies, maybe it is the right move. Like if you're a venture backed company and cash is limited because you're burning it, you don't actually have a real
Yeah.
business yet. You're just a venture raising firm and you happen to have whatever app or 3D printing or whatever. Like I guess it makes
Right.
sense because you're in desperation mode. You got to be moving so fast
Yeah.
and your whole thing is hoping to get acquired. But there's probably even a way
Yeah.
around it then. My perspective is more of like, hey, if we're starting a small business, which is what 90% of the world is going to do, you're not going to grow to be a crazy company that's, on the NASDAQ, right? And you don't want to be that. I mean, but if you want to have like a nice business where you have 20 employees, which is the majority of small business owners, actually, that's a whole nother stat. But like once you reach a certain scale as a small business owner, you're going to have about 20 employees. You're going to work with 20 people. That is a very small group of people. Like you should
Yeah.
really
That's a
care
pretty
about your
intimate group.
reputation amongst those people, because they are going to be the ones that recommend you to their friends and,
Yeah.
coworkers elsewhere. I mean, they're just going to be your number one recruiting tool. And yeah, for me, it's like when you go to hire somebody, you're essentially delegating a new task within the business. You need to be very clear on what are the 3 to 5 things that position is going to do and can the company actually pay for it long term, and as long as you're doing those two things, you're setting that person up for success. Otherwise, it's just irresponsible of you as the business leader
Yeah.
to make that call. I remember the first guy we tried to hire as a general manager. Restaurants are tough from a cash flow perspective. You might make, crazy money 1 month, 10, 15, 20% profit, which in a restaurant's great.
Yeah.
Or 1 month you
That
might
is. Yeah.
lose 10, 15, 20%. Like cash flow is that up and down. And we brought a guy on and we were always strapped for cash because we started with $0 and never really got an influx of cash.
Yeah.
And we were trying to delegate the general manager position for the restaurant way too early. Like we didn't have enough money, we didn't have enough predictable revenue, we didn't have enough systems in place. Like we should have
Yeah.
been only the ones doing the GM jobs in that year. And like I feel bad because basically I hired that guy and 6 months later he was burnt out and out of there because
Yeah.
everything was so inconsistent. Now I am proud that we never missed payroll and that's a big deal to me as a small business owner, but it
Yeah.
was stressful for sure. And we did not set him up for success and that's on me. And I think whoever you end up hiring in the future, you have to be the one to think about that. I think about that a lot as we're doing this high B marketing stuff and we're bringing people on. Like full transparency, you and I still have full-time jobs and we do this on the side. And
Hmm.
everybody that we contract with is not with us full time because we're very cognizant of the fact that cash flow matters and these people's lives matter and their relationship to us and our reputation matters. And I think we're just going slower. I think if we were maybe at a different point in our lives, maybe we would have gone all in. But, the responsible thing to do is to check the ego, go slow, delegate slowly, and then grow. Because, hopefully we're doing this 50 years from now. That's the mindset I have, at least.
It's exactly like what I was saying earlier. It's just trying to get the dart as close to the middle in terms of finding the right time to make these giant decisions.
That's it.
The wrong decision would have been, September of 21, us saying peace out to our full-time jobs when we both know we have new babies on the way. Like, that would have been a terrible decision.
And no clients.
That would have been, and no clients. That would have been the dart on the furthest outside, not even in the rung, but like, right there in like the one pointer. Like, that would have been terrible. So sneaking it in there, trying to get it a little closer. But yeah, it's been great building it the way we have been. I mean, I felt like it's been very in control. I feel like we've made good decisions along the way because we haven't been so frantically desperate to do any one thing. So yeah, it's crazy. But hey, we're almost to our 11-month mark. You realize that? The end of this month,
not until you just
be
said
at
that.
11 months.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's a big deal. When my big milestone is 5 years. That's sort of like that's the first big mountain every small business has to climb, is 5 years and $1 million in revenue. That's like those are the two big things that dictate whether or not your business is going to be around long term. Can you break $1 million? Can you get past 5 years? You don't have to do both of them, but it's definitely nice if you do both. So,
oh yeah.
All right, man. Well, today's episode is brought to you by highbeammarketing.com. We are very self-serving here, if nothing else. We do this show for free, but we're trying to make some money too. So we have a free marketing audit that we'll do for your small business. Just go to highbeammarketing.com, fill out the contact form, and this marketing audit is pretty sweet. It's basically, we'll break down every touch point you have digitally with your potential customers, and just your website, your social, your podcast, your content, anything, your ads if you're running them. And we tell you what we think is working and what you should keep doing, and we tell you what is not working and you need to fix ASAP. And then obviously our back end pitch on that is, if you have the money to pay us to fix the stuff, we're happy to do it. And if not, this is the playback we would do. We want to see you win, and when you're ready to hire somebody, that's us. Full transparency. That's what we do. Go to highbeammarketing.com, fill out the form, and get us in. So Austin, as always, the people love the bit at the end of the show, and I hate it. So we do this for them strictly. What do you got for us today? What's the Austinism of the day?
Yeah, well, my wife gets on to me because she says I hobby hop quite a bit, which, Chandler, I'm sure you've started to get a grip on now that you've been working closely with me for the last year. And what that means is, I find something that interests me. Usually I feel like I hop back and forth, at least within the same ones, but sometimes things come back. Sometimes I resurrect old hobbies. And one of those old hobbies recently has been trading cards, sports cards. I love them. When I was a little kid, my brother, my dad, and I, we'd rip packs all the time. And I remember going to card shops, as a kid with my dad, and we'd pick out these amazing boxes, open them. Great times. And so I went to the card shop yesterday, and I grabbed a couple of packs from 2014. So these packs are 8 years old, rookie packs, and they've got one of the best quarterbacks to ever grace the football field right there on the front. Johnny Manziel, baby. Texas A&M's finest. Heisman Trophy winner, 2012.
You need to go to our YouTube channel. For those of you that don't know, go to our YouTube channel, and you can see what Austin's talking about right now.
Yeah.
It's killing me.
So
on so many levels.
So best quarterback to ever grace the field, Johnny Manziel. Rookie pack. There's going to be a rookie in every pack. Hopefully we get the lucky Johnny. He's probably like the least valuable card in the pack at this point, but
high sentimental value for you, though.
High sentimental value for me. Youngest Heisman Trophy winner ever. Probably shortest career of a Heisman Trophy winner ever. But we're going to open these packs. We're going to hope we find something cool. 4 cards in every pack. 1 rookie per pack. Here we go. You open these from this flap here to ensure no corners get bent. So we're gonna take good care here. All right. Ooh. So the funny thing is, I don't even know who half these people are probably. So okay, we've got
Based on
Jeff.
NFL stats, they're probably not in the league anymore.
Yeah. Well, this is a. Do you know who Jeff Matthews is? Quarterback from the Falcons. So this should be someone you know. It's a rookie. And obviously he didn't last long, so that's great. This is kind of a cool card, though. This tiny little bitty Allen Robinson rookie. Kind of neat. It's not the same size as a normal card, which I don't really understand. So we'll take a closer look at that one, see if it's worth anything. Okay, this is kind of neat. Clay Matthews. It is kind of fun to open these old packs because you have absolutely no idea what to expect, and you haven't heard these names in ages. Like Clay Matthews, look at that. And then Brian Hartline. Talk about someone that doesn't matter. Incredible.
Wait, did he play at Kentucky?
Brian Hartline?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Maybe not.
Brian Hartline played for the Ohio State University.
Oh. Well,
so there's pack number 1.
Mike Hartline played for Kentucky.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I'm going to save everybody.
That.
Listen, I'm not going to let you open all 4 packs. Like, I'm going to stop this madness. This is, you got one in, and we're done. We got no Manziel.
But wait, you got a Robert
you promised me a
Griffin.
Manziel.
Come on.
I mean, if I'm trading second-rate ESPN anchors, then I guess.
Oh my God, it's hilarious. So these people, you haven't heard from them in ages. Keenan Allen. Wow.
We're going to get out of here. We appreciate you guys listening. Austin's down the rabbit hole. He's hobby hopping. He's drinking lukewarm water, eating cereal on one side of the mouth. I can't even with this. I promise he's a wizard at paid ads. Like, there's nobody that's going to run paid media better for your business than this guy. We appreciate you guys listening. If we can do anything for you, please reach out. Let us know. We'll see you next week.
See ya.